Hello everybody, welcome back to 10 Minute Reviews. I'm Jason, bringing you today's episode. As always, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. We're just a small family channel. Me, this fuzzy little one right here, and the wife, and we just love to read books, love to talk about books, love to bring you guys books, new authors. We're going to keep doing it no matter what, but we would appreciate any support you guys might want to give us. Speaking of which, don't forget to check the links down below for the links to today's author, anything else that we may find applicable, our Patreon, our Discord channel. Come in there, talk about books. Thank you to our patrons, by the way. We really appreciate you guys. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about today's book, and it's an author I don't believe I've talked about in the past. I might have, because he's an absolutely fantastic author and a major author, but I don't know if I've talked about him in the past. I want to talk about Greg Rucka, and I'm going to talk about his book, Critical Space. Now, I've read this entire series multiple times, actually, and this is kind of weird in that it's, I think, book 7 out of 9, but it's one of my favorites, and it really sets up my favorite arc of this series. So, since I haven't talked about it in the past, I'm going to talk about my usual 4 categories. By the way, Greg Rucka, fantastic author. Most of you guys have probably read or seen some of his work, even if you don't realize it. He's an incredible author with a bunch of just amazing books, but he's also been involved in a lot of graphic novels, some of which have been turned into movies that I'm pretty sure most of you guys have watched. But Critical Space. The 4 categories: the world, character, plot, writing style. So the world, it's our world. That's pretty much it. It's modern world. It's our world. So I'm gonna move right along to the characters. So the main character of this particular series is Atticus Kodiak. Atticus Kodiak. It's definitely an interesting name. Now there's other characters within the books, his little team and such like that, but the main character is Atticus. And Atticus is a bodyguard. He's a personal protection agent, or PSA, protection specialist, or personal security agent. He's a professional bodyguard, and that's one of the things that comes up a lot within this book is the difference between some dude that just walks next to you looking big and an actual professional, trained, Secret Service level bodyguard. Big difference, and it's one of the things that is talked about quite a bit within the series. And Atticus is a professional. He's a professional, highly trained, very skilled professional. He's got his personality quirks, as does most of his team. He's got his strengths, he's got his weaknesses, and overall, he's a very interesting character. And one of the things that I've really liked about it is this series is so, it really resonates. Obviously, again, real world type of situation, stuff like that. But the character, he's a bodyguard. So you almost look at bodyguard as, on the side of angels, stuff like that. And he is. He definitely believes in what he does, but he's not a cop. He's not a cop. So he does operate in a little bit of a gray area, which leads us into the plot. So the plot of this book really piggybacks off of the previous book. So in a previous book, the entire team barely beat one of the best assassins in the world. And the events of that book lead into what occurs within this book, and really kind of builds the entire last 3 books of this series. But this one, again, fantastic and one of my favorites. So this professional assassin drama, one of the best assassins in the world. Everybody is scared to death of her, including Atticus. Pretty much everybody absolutely terrified of her, except for other members, other top assassins in the world. And they it's not like a club, they don't really know each other. They know of each other. Sometimes they may have met, sometimes, but most of the time not likely. But of course they will have heard of each other. So they had beaten barely drama in the past, and she backed off for reasons. Not going to get into it, because if she had decided to continue, then she would have won. Well, she makes another appearance. She makes another appearance in this book, and ends up, I don't want to give away too much of the book, so ends up, for reasons, hiring Atticus to be her bodyguard. And she helps train him, make him a lot better at what he does as a bodyguard. Unfortunately, he ends up learning, things that he probably doesn't need to, but she ends up helping him become a better bodyguard at the same time, or at least more in shape. And for, again, reasons, Atticus ends up crossways with his own team for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, Drama almost killed the entire team, and she's an assassin, she's a murderer. Now he's working for her, he's bodyguarding her, but to him, he's a bodyguard. He did actually say no, but eventually she was able to convince him, and then once he took the job, well, that's what he does. He's a professional bodyguard, so he is going to guard her body. And unfortunately, it's against another one of the top assassins in the world. So we get more of these interactions, and there's also a little bit of a mystery crossed in with this as well. We don't just have the thriller action type novel of the bodyguard versus the top assassin, really two assassins, but you also have the mystery in there of where did this assassin come from? Why is he coming after her? Who hired her? Where's all this other information coming from? We're dealing with the NSA, we're dealing with the CIA, we're dealing with the FBI, we're dealing with private security, we're dealing with other countries and other law enforcement agencies. And it gets absolutely fascinating. Greg Rucka's books, both the Atticus Kodiak series and his Queen and Country series, again, are incredible books. There's a reason this guy has, bestsellers, New York Times bestsellers, and books that have been turned into movies, and graphic novels that have been turned into movies, and that he's written or been part of writing so many different things, because he's an absolutely incredible author. I actually haven't read any of his graphic novels, which I need to, because I've watched some of the movies based around him. But just amazing author, and his Atticus Kodiak series is fantastic. What I really like is how he grows Atticus from the starry-eyed bodyguard to a more grizzled professional bodyguard to a more jaded and almost, I think jaded is the best word for a person, to a bodyguard for one of the greatest assassins in the world, to semi-retired, to someone that just wants to be left alone. And that tends to lead into the final two books of the series that I'm probably going to review, because I've read this whole series multiple times, but when I decided to read Critical Space again, I have to read the next couple of books. And if you guys like thrillers, if you guys like awesome books, or if you've watched any of the stuff based off of Greg Rucka, you gotta read his Atticus Kodiak books. They're fantastic, and honestly, you really could jump into book 6 or book 7. You can jump into Critical Space without missing much, because the few things that it harkens back to are mentioned and explained. So this one very much is a self-contained book. Most of them are self-contained books, but they had these threads that go through the books. And yes, drama was introduced in a previous book, but you could absolutely pick up Critical Space and just read the last 3 books of the series. If you're going to read any of them, those are the ones I would recommend you read. Thank you everybody for watching. We will catch you guys next time. Bye now.